Roguelikes are a difficult genre for me to get into. Permadeath and little to no permanent progression always leaves a bad taste in my mouth. Nothing feels worse than to be an hour into a run, 2 floors away from the boss, then boom! Dead because of a mistimed jump or overwhelmed by enemies. Combine that with procedurally generated levels where you are not sure what items you may get within a run can be downright infuriating. For me, I love building up my character, my stats, and a relief of some form of permanent progression within my game, especially when my time for a given game can be so limited. I definitely think that roguelikes have niche appeal, but it does not mean that I can't find value within the subgenre. I think that Skul is a game worth checking out. This game reminds me of my time playing MapleStory without the greedy microtransaction, with a petite but satisfying story. Fast, exciting combat, cool flashy abilities, and many classes to experiment with. There's a lot to dig your feet into with this game. Though the campaign may be short, your runs can have indefinite value. At the time of this recording, I have 80 hours and 54 minutes, and I have 2 successful runs. This game was released January 21st, 2021. It was developed by a company called SouthPaw Games. This is their first and only game, at least at the time of this recording. Skul was published by NeoWiz, and the game is available on pretty much all platforms.
밝은 달이 떠있던 밤이었습니다. 소녀는 계속해서 달렸어요. 그 뒤를 검은 형체가 쫓았죠. 아픈 다리로 열심히 도망쳐봤지만 추격자는 결국
On the continent of Harmonia, there existed 2 kingdoms, one inhabited by humans and the other inhabited by demons. These 2 kingdoms fought tirelessly against each other. Eventually, a peace treaty was created so that there would be peace between the separate kingdoms. The humans quickly reneged on this deal and decided to ambush the Demon King's castle anyway. This betrayal of the contract resulted in destruction of the lands inhabited by the demon, the Demon King's castle, and they captured the Demon King. You play as a lowly soldier tasked to rescue the Demon King, the officials, and the demon friends. Your playable character has the ability to swap skulls and gain their respective powers. You will have to fight the humans, also known as the heroes, on your journey to rescue the Demon King. So there's a few things I like about the story. I like the fact that you play as the demon, which in most other games you're seen as the enemy, but in this game, demon is actually the heroes and you fight against the heroes. I like that's one interesting thing about this story. The story is pretty short and it's pretty concise and it gets straight to the point. I don't want to give too much detail about the story because I want to avoid spoilers as much as possible, but we'll just go with that for now. Combat within Skul plays a lot like a MapleStory game. Combat is very fast and flashy and there's tons of skulls to try out on your journey. The main character basically have an ability to swap out skulls and get their respective abilities. Many skulls contain skills that can literally cover the entire screen as pieces of your enemies get sent flying all over the place. Controls are tight and responsive and the game always keeps up. You can specialize in more physical or magic or a combination of the 2. You can pick skulls at different evolutions, but each has their own set evolution path. These evolution paths will give you access to more skills. You will be fighting most enemies on various types of platform that may consist of traps. Timing your jumps well, fine-tuned positioning, and timing enemy attacks are the name of the game. If you can master those 3 things, then you'll have a high chance for a successful run. Don't get me wrong, the combat is pretty challenging at times. There are rooms where you'll be quickly surrounded and a sub-optimal build will quickly meet its demise. The gameplay loop of Skul is quite simple. You start off with a basic skull, you navigate through the rooms, defeat the mini boss, then finally defeat the main boss for that level. As you progress you will find various upgrades for the MC. Each level contains a shopping area where you can buy equipment and skulls to enhance or completely change up your build. Eventually you will meet Arachne. With the right amount of bones, this is a currency that you can get from breaking down skulls that you don't want throughout the levels. You will use these bones to evolve your skulls to the higher tier, each skull having 3 tiers. This is a must for the later levels. Once the main boss of the level is bested, you will be rewarded with a selection of exceptional equipment and then transition to the next area. There are 5 main levels in Skul, each consisting of a variety of rooms and activities for the player. The levels are procedurally generated, so no run will feel exactly the same. Most rooms within a level require you to clear all the enemies before you proceed. Within each level there will be one room designated for buying items and healing. Then the final room will be the boss room. Completing the boss of each level will give you access to the subsequent level. Skul utilizes a pixel-based art style, but don't let that deter you. I know that today's audience prefer a more realistic art style, but SouthPaw holds no punches with its graphics. Each level has their own specific theme and they are beautifully detailed and full of atmosphere. You will be surrounded by the foliage in the Forest of Harmony. Feel minuscule within the Grand Hall and not welcome in the Black Lab. As small as the world may seem to be, it doesn't lack punch. A small and well-detailed world can do so much more for a game as compared to a big and empty one. The animations are crisp and the frame rate is always stable. For all the things that this game does well, there are a couple of issues that also rear its ugly head. First of all, the builds are very reliant on RNG. I never feel like I can get all of the desired relics and equipment for each run. Let's say if I want to have a build specialized in fire, or I want to build specialized in poison, right? Chances are I will not get every piece of equipment that help me to optimize that build as much as possible. Also, it's very bad to mix physical and magic. If you're going to start with magic, stick with magic, and if you can go with physical, stick with physical. I think the only exception to this is if you stick with the base skull, because they have magic and physical in their skill set. But most skulls specialize either in magic or physical, and having the RNG plus having a very wide build, that means covering a lot of things at the same time, will cause you a lot of issues, especially in the later levels. Some skulls can be very boring in terms of their playstyle. Like I can think of like the archer skull. I just don't use it. It didn't work for me at all, and it's too weak, and even in its evolved state it doesn't help you that much. Small number of bosses. You will be fighting the same bosses over and over and over again. This helps to improve your competency with the game, so you can become very good at it, but after 4 or 5 runs you've pretty much seen everything that this game has to offer. Later levels can be ridiculously punishing, and I mean you will be surrounded by enemies, surrounded by things exploding up in your face, there's traps all over the place. It's just not good during the later levels. And if you have a poor build, if you don't know how to move properly, you will suffer. There are a few options to tweak the difficulty of the game. As far as I know, there is an option in the main menu to reduce the damage that you take by 50%, but that's pretty much all that you can get. There's also, you can collect dark quartz, right, and sort of upgrade your character that way, but that's the most you can get out of this system. And then my last complaint: once you've completed the game, there's little to no end game after that point. You just collect dark quartz, and yeah, that's pretty much it. Okay. In terms of bugs and glitches, I haven't experienced that much within this game. Like, it ran pretty smooth, and I'm running in sort of like mid-tier gaming rig, so I didn't experience that much. There was a few glitches, like enemies maybe glitching through a platform, but the game's pretty smooth for the most part. Can I recommend this game? I had a great time with this game. I have gotten 2 successful runs under my belt, but this game is especially tough. As mentioned before, it's hard for me to get into roguelites simply because of their fundamental design. Being 1 hour into a run and losing is not a great feeling, and it makes you feel like you've wasted your time. I do think there's value in this game, and I do think if you have some time, check it out. Just know what I've mentioned before. There's a lot of RNG, so you will not always be able to get exactly what you need for the most optimal build that you want. But there's a lot of fun to be had. And if you are a fan of MapleStory, the gameplay is right up your alley. With that being said, yes, definitely, if you get a chance, check out this game. And thank you guys for watching. If you like what you saw here, just comment down below. I'll reply to those. Have you played this game? What are your thoughts? Anyway, like and subscribe, and have a good day. Thank you for watching.